So a lot of people doesn't know how to properly works this kind of loop of this strategy of using a Willista to take out your opponent or take out the opponent. So I'm going to use a little demonstration of how the loop goes and how is the instance of the game that you have to need. What cards do you need in your drop, in your hand, in your bindson to properly enable this combo. I don't going to go deep into how to mill all your cards until you have one in your deck. I'm just going to tell you that what is the requirements to do this kind of loop, and also how it works to make it you conscious about how it operates, and now also how do you can play around it about I don't know, making time, if you wanna call it in that in any way. So, what is the state of the board that you have to make to in order to properly enable this combo? Well, it really doesn't matter what you have in your rearward circles. You only need three circles open, or also you're going to use three circles. So doesn't really matter if the opponent locks two of your circles with link joker or something stupid like that. Well, yeah, this loop is kind of shitty, and I really hate it. But well, let's going to continue. So what do you need? You need two Urals in your hand. You also need one Mirtua and one Darling. The two Urals in your hand, it's kinda easy to pull it out because Willista is going to constantly mill in 5 cards and also superior calling 2. So it's really easy to pull the second Ural or the two Ural, and also having a Darling previously to put it into your soul and bouncing both Urals. So it really doesn't matter about how do you get these cards. Also, Mirtua is one of the cards that you obviously need to properly combo. And also, you really need to have a Darling either on your field or your hand. And really doesn't matter in which part do you have it. So this is the instance in your board and in your hand. In your soul, what do you need? You need at least one soul. It's only the basic requirements. And in your drop zone, you have to be at least two waddles. Have you have to need at least two waddles in your drop zone. You could also have only one waddle, and the other one could be in your hand or in your soul. So it really doesn't matter. The preparation of the states is that you really need to have two in the instant that you use Ural full ability. So really doesn't matter if you have it in your soul. So also, what do you need? You need another Darling in your drop zone. So yeah, this is kind of what the requirements that you need. Well, obviously you also need one Waddle or one Darling in your bind zone to properly use the full effect of Rural. And how do you put it into your bison? You put it either using Ural when you write it on your Vanguard circle, or using the grade 4 cards, the Nectaria, when you have it in your hand, binding the card, binding like one normal unit, and shuffle your deck. How to properly achieve this? Well, you have a lot of units that bounce back your other units, so you could easily put it back into your hand when you superior color with Willista with I don't know, Pop Idol Aqua, a Top Idol Aqua, or another Weddle, or well, whatever you whatever you have to use to bounce it back. No, so this is the proper statement, and also you only need to have one card in the top of your deck, left in your deck. It really doesn't matter what do you have, but if you have a Weddle or a Darling, well, you only going to short as one step into the full combo. So really doesn't matter what do you have. That's their full requirements. only just having one card in your deck. So what is going to happen when you call Ural? You use the effect of Ural, making that Whirl is going to be on the bottom of your deck, and because we have a Ural into the bind zone, we can Soul Blast one. Let's Soul Blast one this, and draw a card because we have the same unit that we put into back of my deck, and as the card regarded on my bind zone. So I'm going to draw one card, and in this moment I have Whirl on top of my deck. This is Whirl. So what is going to happen next? Then I'm going to use Ural. Ural is going to make the same movement as we previously did, but in this occasion we are going to put Darling on the bottom of our decks. So because we don't have a Darling of the bottom of the bind zone, sorry, we can draw a card, but it really doesn't matter. If we will have a Darling into our bind zone, we are going to do just the same step, but with different orders of the cards. So it really doesn't matter how do you achieve this combo. So you only need one of the two cards into your bind zone, so it really doesn't matter. So in this moment we have two cards in the top of our deck, in the left in our deck. Sorry, one of them is Whirl, the other is Darling, in that order. So what is going to happen next? Oh, sorry, my English is so bad. We're going to use Darling. Darling is going to put it into your soul, and by effects we can bounce back to duos with the same card name. So we bounce back to Urals. Then in this moment we use Mirtua. Mirtua's skill is going to allow us to Soul Blast one, and both of the opponents draw one card, and then the opponents has to call a unit into her rear circle. So it's really the really big step, or the most important step is here, that you have to Soul Blast the same Darling that you previously put into your soul to bounce back the two Urals to draw one card. This is the really important step. So as you can see, we draw the Waddle, and also the opponents draw one card. No, so currently, let's say it has 34 cards in the deck left. So this is really when the combo has already started. So I'm going to then use Whirl to put it into my soul, bounce back Mirtua, and then start the loop, or the pseudo loop, or the combo, whatever you want to call this shit. So we're going to call Ural. Ural's skill is going to put Whirl back into the bottom of our deck, and because we have a Whirl into our deck, so we can Soul Blast a Whirl and draw one card. We have now a Darling. We use the second Ural to now put a Darling back into our deck. Then we use Darling to put into our soul and bounce back both Urals. Then use Mirtua skill to bounce to Soul Blast Darling. Both draw one card, and we have Whirl again, and the loop continues. So we call, we put, we bounce, we call, we put, we Soul Blast, we draw, we put, we call, we put, then we call, we put into our soul, we bounce, and then we call, we soul, and we draw. And that's the fucking loop. It's all that really is going to do the opponent for the next 20-25 minutes, or until the time runs. So yeah, this deck is kind of shitty. It's a horrendous deck when it could pull off, but it's not often really consistent, as I can tell you by my very few testing fields and testing matches. So how do you play against this deck? It's not a easy way to counter it. One of the few things that you could do is rush the deck in the first instance, and also using the proper time management limit that any player can have per action to elongate the match enough to go into a timeout. So it's not the very best competitive and transparency fairness, but well, it's kind of how this deck works, and also it's really pitch reliant. So by reaching it in the early stage of the game, you could make it lose the pieces that he really needs to pull off the combo, because well, it doesn't really matter if the opponent's uh, is going to 6 damage into the first stage, no? So you don't really have to worry about that. You also need to know that probably the game is going to happen that what how it's going to happen is that the player that has Willista will damage deny you. So you have to, when you are going to against this deck, you have to know how to properly manage your resources in your hand, and hopefully and hope that the opponent make a mistake has made a mistake in the process, or also has to guard to prevent their sex damage. So it's really relying on that factor. So yeah, good luck about with that, and I hope that you don't have to see this on your BCS matches. See you later.